Hi everyone, my name is Emma and I will be discussing my research in statistics in the media. Over the course of my statistics class, I have researched and found 4 different articles displaying statistics in day-to-day articles found in the media. My first article, titled Social Media's Contribution to Political Misperceptions in U.S. Presidential Elections, studied and measured the role of social media in promotions of political campaign misconceptions. The study used 3-wave panel surveys conducted with representative samples of 618 Americans during both the 2012 and 2016 U.S. presidential elections. The same set of survey questions were given to the samples at 3 points during the election cycle. The surveys were later used to assess whether or not the use of social media for political information promoted falsehoods and misconceptions about major party candidates or campaign issues. The collected qualitative data was analyzed using a fixed effects regression that helped to ensure the observed effects were not due to individual differences. The fixed effects regression data analyzation also greatly improved the researcher's ability to make causal inferences using panel data, regardless of the lack of random assignment. As mentioned in the article, fixed effects models are typically an invaluable tool for assessing panel data. However, because the models analyzed within respondent changes over time, they treated unobserved variables as stable parameters, of which controlled for any influences by unmeasured factors in the estimate results. Significance testing was conducted using 90% confidence intervals for predictions regarding candidate beliefs, provided evidence of the promoted candidate misconceptions strewed from social media. Researchers portrayed the results of the data analyzations through scatter plots, of which suggested a modest, small but significant relationship between social media and belief accuracy. These results led to the conclusion that social media can alter a person's willingness to fixate on falsehoods during an election, yet the effects of such are small. The data in this study does have the chance of being misleading because the survey contained 3 questions that could be interpreted as contradictory to each other. In addition, the panel data was collected over a period of several months, which is considerably shorter than many disinformation campaigns. My second article, The Better Than Average Effect from 1985 to Today, focused on reanalyzing the effectiveness and results of a previous study completed by psychologist Alecki in 1985. The study revealed variability in perceived social desirability of common traits. The study paved the way for the popular egoistic result that many people tend to think of themselves as better than the average person, having more good or less bad traits as compared to the average person. The original study was completed through a sample of university students being asked to rate 154 traits. The traits were rated on how true each of the traits were of themselves and of the average college student, self-ratings, and other ratings. The results of the original study, showed that the more positive and desirable traits were more characteristics of themselves and characterized themselves as having less of the bad traits as compared to the average student. In the study replication, the results agreed and seemed even more prominent than in the original. After analyzing the data from a sample of American research participants using correlation design, the researchers found a positive, strong correlation of 0.77 between trait desirability and social comparison. Empirical correlations from the study resulted at 0.92 between trait desirability and simple self-ratings. While this study was based off of a previous study, the results may have been misleading because of a different population sample was used. Rather than collecting sample data from college students, as done in the original study, the recent study used a sample composed of the general American population. In regard to this change, data may have resulted differently. Additionally, the recent study does not mention whether the same questions or traits from the original study were used. If the same survey was not asked to the new sample, the newly collected data results and correlations also have the chance of being misleading. The third article, Men Die More Often Than Women When Taking a Selfie, discussed a study of which researched and assessed the epidemiology of selfie-related deaths across the globe. The study sample consumed of a systematic search of news articles on selfie-related deaths between October 2011 through November 2019, totaling in 259 deaths, in consideration with the excluded articles, with an increasing trend throughout the year progression. Through a comprehensive analysis of the data, the researchers were able to provide an average age, gender, and risky versus non-risky behavior. Analysis on the location of the incident and most common causes were also discussed. The results showed that 72.5% of selfie deaths occurred by males and only 27.5% in females, due to the increase of risky behavior tendencies in males versus females. Additionally, 50% of the analyzed selfie deaths occurred between 20 and 29 years of age. After reading the article and journal from which it derived, I do believe this study has the chance of being misleading. Due to the fact that the data was retrieved from news articles and not direct responses from samples, researchers could have perceived the quantitative and qualitative data incorrectly depending on how the article was written. Also, there was a large list of articles that were exempt from the study, which may have caused data results to have been misleading in overall percentage. The final article, Why Don't Americans Want D.C. to be a State?, describes a poll study based on political opinion in the United States. In height of the upcoming voting and elections, politicians and researchers have been gathering data on the opinions and likelihood of certain proposals moving into action. A major question of the upcoming 2020 elections has been whether or not to make the nation's capital the 51st state. In the most recent poll by Gallup, 64% of sampled U.S. citizens oppose making the capital a state. In 2017, a poll was completed composed solely of D.C. citizens, with 68% in favor of the issue. Since the original proposal in 1978, the bill has continued to be opposed by Americans throughout preceding poll studies. The issue has become increasingly important in recent 2020 political campaigns. In the case of this being a political poll with the option of the samples choosing between yes and no, I believe that this poll in particular was not heavily misleading. However, as mentioned in the article, the responses varied based on state location. The responses from the east to west coast differed in the percentage of those opposed versus not opposed to the proposal. As any statistical poll has the possibility of being misleading, I believe any misleading data may have been in cause of this reason. Thank you for listening to my articles.